So we're following this breaking news alert. A commercial plane goes off the runway at a Virginia airport.
It was a frightening moment at the Roanoke Blacksburg Regional Airport when that United flight arriving from Washington Dulles International Airport ran off the end of the runway. Take a look. This is what happened after the United Airlines plane was brought to a halt by emergency stopping equipment.
The experience gap keeps getting larger by the day in our nation's cockpits. This is the tale of two different captains and two completely different decisions. One ends up in disaster, the other not so much. Let's take a look and I'll explain.
Cockpit for gate 34 out of that 34.
Piedmont 5834, Roanoke Tower, wind 250 at 9er, runway 34, clear to land.
Okay, Piedmont 5834 is the first player. The main player, and this is going to be Commute Air 4339. Listen for them in just a minute. What's going on in Roanoke, and this was an incident that happened a few weeks ago, the NTSB report has finally come out on it, and they've pulled back the curtain on exactly what happened, and there were two completely different decisions, and it has to do with a level of experience, and I'll explain. But 5834 has been cleared to land on runway 34. The weather is moving into Roanoke, and it's on the airport now, and it's raining cats and dogs.
Clear to land, 34.
All right, cleared to land, 5834. So they're proceeding into the airport now. They're being followed by Commute Air
5834.
4339.
Area of heavy to extreme precipitation begins about 3.5 mile final all the way down to the runway.
Okay, there's the first huge bit of information. Air traffic control can't tell you not to land at an airport, and they can't tell you to go someplace else, but they can give you all the information. And these guys are loading up the weather information for all of the airplanes, because that wasn't just for Piedmont 5834. Everybody else on the frequency, including Commute Air 4339 and others, there's going to be another player here in a minute, they're all listening in as they get this weather forecast. The heavy weather is 3.5 miles moving onto the airport, and it's already there. So again, an experienced pilot's going to go, I wonder if I want to go someplace else or hang out until the weather moves through. We'll see. Heavy precip all around.
At ground, pickle 9. Pickle 9, ground.
Okay, the next player here is the ground vehicle. There's a guy on the runway, basically driving down the runway, determining how much water is on the runway, if there's any sort of danger of hydroplaning for the airplanes. But he's going to give a first-hand report back to the tower on exactly how much water is sitting on this runway. Listen to what he says.
Yes, sir. 5-ton NOTAMs are in the issuing process right now. Both runways are 100% wet. 555.
555. All right. They grade it from 0 to 5. 5 is the most water you can have. All right. And so he's saying it's 100% wet on the runway, and it's as heavy as it's going to get, right? So that's a little bit of an indication. Now, the airplanes are not listening to that right now. That's been relayed to the tower. The tower then is going to relay that information to everybody on the frequency.
Pickle 9, roger.
We'll be right back, but first, a quick word from our sponsor. So a lot of you ask what I actually wear when I'm off duty or out running. The truth is, I want something that looks good, feels good, and can handle everything from filming days to workouts. And that is why I'm excited that today's video is sponsored by Fabletics. Fabletics makes premium activewear that looks great and is ridiculously comfortable. The fit is solid, the quality is fantastic, and they've got bold colors plus a ton of sleek, neutral options. And whether you're jogging, traveling, or just hanging out, everything is lightweight, soft, and breathable. Their shirts and shorts are moisture wicking, anti-odor, and stretchy. This stuff is built to last. The best part is the VIP membership. When you sign up as a new VIP, you get 70 to 80% off your first order. That means you can pick up a whole outfit for the price of just a t-shirt somewhere else. And after that, VIPs get up to 50% off retail prices every day, plus access to exclusive monthly drops. And there's no pressure. Every month between the 1st and the 5th, you can either shop or skip. If you skip, you pay nothing. If you shop, your monthly payment becomes a credit you can use towards a full outfit bundle or any single item up to $100. I've been wearing Fabletics while training and traveling, and the stuff honestly surprised me. It looks good, it fits great, and it actually performs. So if you want to try it, hit the link in the description. New VIP members get 70 to 80% off their first order. That's a crazy deal. Don't miss it. And thanks to Fabletics for sponsoring this video. Sponsors like this help us to make more content for you. All right, they're doing their due diligence and collecting all the data.
EMAS 5834, not issued on the ATIS yet, but all runways, condition codes 555, 100% wet.
Okay, what is the ATIS? That's the Automated Terminal Information System. That's updated every hour or as needed. So sometimes it's updated every 10 minutes or 5 minutes if the weather is changing rapidly. So what he's saying to them is we're about to update the ATIS. If you have the ATIS, it's old information. It's 100% wet and it's 555. So if you're going to go into your iPad and figure out what your landing distance is going to be, do it with 555 in the iPad because it's going to be a lot longer than you think it is. This is not a dry runway. And it's not even a 1 or a 2. This isn't a little light drizzle or a little light rain. This is heavy downpour.
Could you get a wind check to meter 4339? Meter 4339, wind on the field currently 250 at Niner.
Okay, so the first we've heard from Commute Air 4339. They're behind PMOT 5834. So they're kind of gathering their information from what's going on with the airplane in front of them. A lot of pilots will do that. Like, hey, those guys made it in. Well, maybe we can make it in. But this weather is changing rapidly at this airport. And that's where the experience level comes in. You got to kind of read between the lines, especially when ATC is calling you up numerous times to tell you about the runway condition. That's something that they don't normally do. This is a lot of extra information from them. So that makes my antennas go up and go, you know what, maybe I want to go into holding, maybe I want to go someplace else, but I don't want to get lulled in by the guy in front of me that maybe is making a bad decision. I got to make my own decision. You've heard me say many times on this channel, don't let somebody else outside your cockpit fly your airplane for you. Well, that's going to be a player here in just a second. Let's keep watching.
Roger, thanks. Meter 4339.
All right, so they got a wind check. All right, they didn't ask about the weather.
4339, contact tower 118.3.
They're switching over to tower now.
118.3, meter 4339.
Okay, they're on final approach for this runway.
Tower meter 4339, ILS runway 34.
Okay, ILS 34.
4339, Roanoke Tower, wind 250 at Niner, runway 34, clear to land, area of heavy to extreme precipitation.
Third weather report.
4 mile final all the way down to the runway.
Clear to land, runway 34, Roger, meter 4239.
Okay, here's what's missing for me. There's an appalling lack of curiosity on the part of 4339. They're just repeating back the bare minimum of what they got to do. That's all fine. But there's no, explain the weather again. What's going on? Have people been going around? What are the conditions at the runway? Tell me that again. What was that 555 about again? There seems to be an appalling lack of curiosity. And the older you get and the more experienced you get, the more curious you get, the more questions you ask, because there's something in your gut that tells you, this isn't quite right, and you should feel uncomfortable at this point. By the way, this is the first officer talking on the radio. I'll tell you how I know that in a minute, but it's absolutely the first officer talking. The captain is flying the airplane. Let's keep going.
Sky 4792, how's that weather looking now?
There's the curiosity. SkyWest 4792, right? Now, I don't know that this is an older pilot, but you know what? I'm telling you, I'm guessing it is, right? So this guy chimes in and he goes, what's that weather looking like now? Give me an update on it. I've been hearing in my right ear weather and talking to my co-pilot in my other ear, and give me a report on that again. Let me see what's going on. Curiosity's your friend.
As far as 4792, it is for the most part over the field.
Over the field.
Still moving eastward.
Affirm.
Right? So this guy's got situational awareness. He's saying, which way is it moving? It's moving eastbound. It's over the airport. All right. So it's moved in. It's going to stay there for a little bit. I'm not sure I want to fly this approach. Yeah, good call. He's thinking about it right now.
5834, turn right on Bravo, taxi Alpha Foxtrot to the ramp.
Oh, and there's the next little lull in, all right, the little bit that gets you hooked and pulls you in, because Piedmont 5834 just got taxi instructions, so they're on the ground safely. So now you're the next one in line, you're a couple miles away from landing, you're like, well, they got in okay. The guy third in line, he's asking more questions.
Frequency.
Bravo, Alpha Foxtrot to the ramp at DOT Mount 5834.
They made it.
5834, hour flight conditions on final.
Smooth, but pretty marginal visibility, short final.
Oh, and then again, he gives a PIREP, a pilot report, to the tower, who asks him, how was the weather? Okay, so this is the fourth time we've talked about the weather now from ATC unprompted. And he says, well, it was a little bumpy, but, for the most part, smooth. I got in okay. Oof. Hold on to that, because if you go on that bit of information and you don't go back into your iPad and you don't recalculate that landing distance with the 555, you might not be legal to land on this runway, or it might not just be practical or make any sense. But here we go. 4339 is on their way in.
Commuter 4339, copy that.
He wants to make sure he heard it.
Okay, so that's 4339, thanks.
Appalling lack of curiosity.
4792, 5 miles from Stephen, turn right direct Stephen, cross Stephen at 5,400, cleared on nav 0, runway 24 approach.
That's at 5,400, clear for the RNAV 024, status 4792.
So he's been cleared to land for a different runway, this SkyWest flight.
Status 4792, you're going to be experiencing potentially extreme precipitation on final for runway 24, contact tower 118.3.
Okay. That's all he needed to hear. Extreme precipitation on final. He's like, you know what? If this is me, I'm out of here. All right. Let's listen to what he says next.
Yeah, we'd like to discontinue the approach, then maybe go off and hold somewhere until we let this weather pass.
Yep, right on, brother.
4792, roger, cancel approach clearance, climb maintain, go with 8,000 for now, and since the weather's moving eastbound, did you want to hold for the approach for runway 6?
If that's looking best to you, or we can stick with 240, either one's fine. But we'll find the 8,000. Do you want us under settings still?
And status 4792, to remain clear of that, of most of the weather, go ahead and fly heading of 210 to remain clear of the extreme precip.
Okay, meanwhile, these two are talking back and forth. Commuter 4339 is on short final. They're about to touch down.
For climb 8 there, left turn heading 210, status 4792.
Okay, so what's next? 4339 is just touched down on the runway.
Yeah, 4339, tower.
Tower calls him.
1269, continue standing by. We just had aircraft run up into the EMAS.
Oh, run off into the EMAS. What's the EMAS? It's the Engineered Materials Arresting System. Some runways, not all of them, have this stuff at the end of the runway. It's just like a cake type of concrete that's crumbly, and it's designed, we'll show you some pictures here, it's designed to arrest an aircraft that's gone off the end of the runway. So instead of dirt or grass or a fence or a road that you would run into, this stuff, you just bog down into it and it stops you. Now, it causes a little bit of damage to the airplane, but it keeps everybody on board safe. And you can see a couple different angles here that we're showing you the photos of what happened to this aircraft. So they went all the way off the end of the runway. I'm going to tell you why in a minute, but let's listen to what happens next.
Ground, pick 9.
Ground vehicles start calling.
Ground.
Yes, ma'am. Understand there is an aircraft in the EMAS. Is that correct?
Correct.
Affirmative, alert 3.
Copy all. The aerodrome is closed. NOTAM cancel or NOTAM will be issued there shortly.
Okay, so these guys landed. They went off the end of the runway. They're in the EMAS, stuck there. The ground vehicles have called tower a couple times back and forth. Who haven't we heard from yet? We haven't heard from Piedmont 4339. They haven't said a word. They're just sitting there in the goo off the end of the runway. Are they going to tell us what's going on?
Affirmative.
And I'm on the air carrier. I'm going to proceed down to 3-4 there at the EMAS.
Commuter 4339, Roanoke.
Right, tower calls him. Then listen to the response. Here it is.
Commuter 4339, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Commuter 4339, are you guys off the end into the EMAS?
Commuter 4339.
Okay, this is appalling to me. It's just, The tower has to call him and ask him. And she says, yeah, go ahead. And he says, are you guys off the end of the runway in the EMAS? Affirmative. Yeah, we're off here. Okay, I'm sorry. Were you ever going to tell us that? Right? The trucks are already rolling, right? And he's going to call back, yeah, Roger, trucks are rolling. Is there any emergency? Yeah, let's let it play out.
Roger, trucks are rolling now.
Trucks are rolling now. You can hear it in his voice. Like, really?
Commuter 4339, when able, stay souls on board.
53 souls aboard, Commuter 4339.
Any injuries?
Negative injuries, Commuter 4339.
Okay, let's stop it there. And let me try to explain why I think you're getting just short answers out of this co-pilot. Because I think there's so much tension going on in the cockpit right now, you could cut it with a knife. How do I know that? Because the NTSB preliminary report just came out, and CNN did an article about it, and Pete Muntean is the guy's name that wrote this article. And here's what he says, because now the curtain's been pulled back on what actually happened and why they went off the end of the runway. And here's what goes on. The first officer of United Express flight that ran off the end of the runway in Roanoke, Virginia last month tried to get the captain to abort the landing, not once, but twice. Investigators say the new findings are part of a preliminary report on the September 24th incident just published in the National Transportation Safety Board. The Embraer 145, that's Commute Air 4339, a regional carrier under Commute Air, came to a sudden stop when it rolled beyond the runway edge and into the bed of compressed materials called EMAS. And 53 people were on board and were not hurt. Flight 4339 was too high when it approached Roanoke Blacksburg International Airport, runway 34, in a rainstorm, which the first officer noted to the captain, the report says. So how does that work out? The co-pilot says to the captain, we're too high or we're unstable. You hear too high or unstable, you got to go around. You have to initiate the go around. Now, two more things happen and the captain blows off both of them. And that's why I'm talking about the experience gap. Because remember SkyWest, they had the experience and the judgment and the wisdom to go get a holding pattern and not even try to touch down on this runway during a rainstorm. 4339, with their appalling lack of curiosity, lands in the middle of the rainstorm, goes off the end of the runway, doesn't tell anybody they've gone off, and then we get, as Paul Harvey used to say, the rest of the story. There's more. Here it goes. After crossing the runway markings, the first officer called for a go-around, but the captain continued, the report said. About halfway down the runway, the FO called for a go-around a second time, but the captain continued. That's all you need to know. All right. This is like the Bible in aviation. If one or the other pilots calls a go around, you go around. No questions asked. It doesn't make any difference if you think they're right, wrong, or indifferent. Years ago, I was in training. I was down in one of my 9-month trainings in the simulator. And as I'm down in the simulator, I'm paired with a captain. I was a first officer at the time. And usually they would start out, they'd get you warmed up a little bit in the sim, and then they'd give you what's called a Cat 3 approach, which is an approach down to 0-0. It's an auto land by the airplane. The captain flies the auto land. The first officer monitors. I only have basically two things I'm going to say. I'm going to say go around, or if we touch down on the runway and we get off the center line, I'm going to say center line. That's it. I'm monitoring inside the airplane the whole time. The captain is inside and outside until he can see something. So I'm watching all the parameters, and I'm watching the airspeed and the glide slope and the deviation off the runway. And we get down to about 100 feet above the runway, and the center line of the runway, which is on my display, goes whack out here. As soon as I see it go all the way out, I say to the captain, go around. He doesn't say a word. He continues. So I thought maybe he didn't hear me. So I raise my voice, my best outdoor voice, and I say, go around, just like that. He looks at me again. I thought, oh, I know what. The instructor and the captain set it up for me to take the airplane. So I grab the controls and I start to initiate a go around. When I say for a third time, go around, and the captain says to me, no, I'm fine. At that point, the instructor hits the freeze button. All right. Now, as long as it took me to explain this, the airplane in the simulator is now down at about 10 feet above the runway. 10 feet. The instructor hits the freeze button. He leans over to the captain and he says, "Captain, how many years have you been flying airplanes?" Captain says, 32 years. He says, "Every time your FO says go around, what do?" He says, no. He says, not up, but. Every time your first officer calls go around, what do? He says, "Go around." That was the problem, all right? That captain came back for extra training, just to let you know, all right? I proceeded on. He came back for extra training. Why? He broke the cardinal rule. And this captain broke the cardinal rule twice. Not only did he get a heads up that he was high, but he also probably didn't have much curiosity about how much water was on the runway. And you can't practice for hydroplaning. There is no training in the simulator that prepares you for that. That just has to do with a gut feeling down here and the experience that comes with years of flying to know, you know what? Like SkyWest, I'm going to go hold for a little while, let the weather clear out, and then come in on a drier runway rather than being a mission hacker and trying to get it done. But when your co-pilot says go around, you go around. And if he says it, she says it a second time, you have to go around. And we can see the results. They landed more than halfway down the runway. They hydroplaned off the end of the runway. And fortunately, the EMAS was there to arrest their stop before they went off into the road, and it hit some cars and injured or potentially killed some passengers. So this is what happened. The report now is out. And it's a tale of two different captains. One made a wise decision based on experience, and the other was a mission hacker that overrode clear and unambiguous instruction from their co-pilot that got it right. This is an A+ for the co-pilot on that flight and a D- or an F+ for the captain on that flight. Well, now you know. I'm Captain Steve. Fly safe. So you've seen a number of runway incursions on this channel. If you want to check out some more, check out this video or, well, this one.